All right, the first thing we need to do is to add a class called quote. In this class, we need two fields, the name of the website and the price they're offering. So private string site and private, let's use an integer for simplicity, but in a real world scenario, the price should be a float. Now, I would prefer to make both these fields final so we don't accidentally change their value in our program. Now, because they're final, we should initialize them through a constructor. So let's generate a constructor. I'm going to select the site field first and then the price. So now we have a constructor with these two parameters, pretty straightforward. We also need getters for these fields. So Alt and Enter, create getter for site, and then create getter for price. We're done with this class. Now, let's add a new class called flight service. With this class, we're going to get a quote from a given flight agency. So here we need a method called getQuote, public quote, get quote from this website. Now there's a problem here. Can you tell? I'm returning a quote object. This is a synchronous method. We don't want our methods to run synchronously. So instead of a quote, we should return a completable future of quote. And here we return completable future dot supply async. Now, here we want to simulate calling a remote service. So I'm going to use long task dot simulate, and then we should return a quote object. So return new quote. Now we should pass the name of the site as well as the price. We're going to calculate the price randomly. So let's create a random object, new random. Now let's say the price is going to be somewhere between $100 and $110. So we set price to 100 plus. Then here we use our random object to generate a random integer between 0 and 10. Okay, now we pass it over here. Also, for clarity, I would prefer to add a message here, getting a quote from this website. Now, I forgot to put a semicolon over here. Good. Now let's test this. So we go to our demo class and create a flight service object, new flight service. Then we call service.getQuote. Let's pass site1. This returns a completable future. So we can call then accept. Here we pass a consumer. This is where we get the quote, and we can print it on the terminal. Now, for simplicity, I'm going to go to the quote class and override the toString method. So we put the caret over here, generate toString. I'm going to go with the default implementation. So this is going to give us something like quote site equals price. Okay. Now back to our demo class. Here we get the quote and simply print it on the terminal. Now this lambda expression is simply calling a method. So we can use a method reference here. Alt and Enter, replace with method reference. It's pretty straightforward. So we get a quote and then print it. Now, if we run our program is going to terminate immediately because we're not waiting for the result of this asynchronous operation. So I'm going to put a delay of, let's say, 10 seconds. That's way too much, but that's fine for now. Now let's wrap this inside a try-catch block and run our program. So we're getting a quote. After 3 seconds, the quote is ready. Beautiful.